Domination University. Welcome back to Domination University. This is Francesca J, and I am so excited to introduce our next guest, Shannon Finnesy. Welcome.
Hi, Francesca.
I have been trying to get Shannon on Domination University for a while because she is a chi expert. She's also an acupuncturist. So, whether or not you've ever had an affinity for Chinese medicine, if you know what the heck acupuncture is or not, she's going to share some really practical notions of the overall practice and just ways for you to kind of look at how your health is, adapting to the seasons. And we're going to be doing some basic Chi 101 stuff because you got to just let that chi flow. You got to have the vitality running through your blood, running through your body, running through your life.
Yes. I'm excited to share what's in this head of mine. And,
Yes. Okay, so I have to say, I actually discovered acupuncture. So I'm from back east, which people might know, but I discovered acupuncture when I first came out to San Diego back in like 2002, 2003. And so now it's 2019. I've had acupuncture, I would say, well over 100 times. I was seeing you for a while, but before I met Shannon, who is my favorite acupuncturist, and I say that having some awesome acupuncture. And Laura, if you hear this, I'm sorry, you're amazing. But Shannon has been working on me for years. I've had acupuncture from students. I've had acupuncture from people who had studied in China, who studied in Japan, who studied in China, Japan, and California. And you are the best. You take such a holistic approach. If we can talk about some of those things, but I think for a lot of people, they hear about acupuncture and they're like, acupuncture? Does that work? What do you ever get that question?
I get it so many times.
What do you say?
Oh, it depends on who I'm looking at, but most of the time, I think it's the dumbest question ever to ask an acupuncturist. I spent 5 years nonstop, day and night studying it, a lot of money, a lot of time and energy, and I've worked on so many people and helped them. And then to have someone say, "Does it work?" I'm like, when there's story after story. But yes, it works, and I've witnessed it in so many people's lives, and I love being able to poke people and make them feel better, and that there's a solution out there for people.
Right.
And I love that I get to be called upon to help people when they're not feeling their best.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, it's such a labor of love. Your style specifically is very laborious. Shannon does a lot of massage with her acupuncture and she incorporates some other stuff. So there's a lot of love being given. What's the type of massage that you usually do?
I was trained in Tui Na, which is a Chinese, it's an entire other modality. It's a therapeutic massage.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
It's good
amongst other
stuff.
styles, but I incorporate a lot of that into my practice
Yeah.
and treatments.
Yeah. I love it. But there's been certain things that I feel like nothing else could have done, like done my body the justice that it needed. If you've ever had issues like that menacing bronchitis, maybe your doctor gives you antibiotics. Maybe you need antibiotics. Maybe you're taking eucalyptus and all whatever hippie shit that you can get your hands on. There's just something to be said about opening up these energy pathways in our body, and just being aware of where there's dysfunction on certain levels. I mean, a lot of us, and this is unfortunately just kind of the state of the United States healthcare system is kind of a fucking mess. Like, honestly, a lot of people are disconnected to their health. And we might, go to doctors over and over and over again. With all due respect, there's certain things that, doctors have to address. There's certain things that only, scientific Western medicine can address, especially in regards to like trauma and surgeries and whatnot. But on a regular basis for most people, there's so much health that could be like invested upon just by working your energy system. So can you explain, I know I'm going to give you all the hard questions because I've been trying to talk about this forever. how would you define chi?
So the simplest term to qi is energy. And in ancient Chinese medicine, they call it your life force. It's the moves through us, energizes us, strengthens us, and gives us life.
Yeah, and other philosophies, I think in India they talk about prana. They talk about there's other ones. I think the Tao, the your spirit or your life force, whatever it is. There's just this. There's this electricity that's in all life. It's in plants. It's in humans. It flows through our world. You know what I mean? It's in a lot of ways the dark matter backbone of the universe is like just this electricity that is whatever it is. But let's just call it chi for now. And so Chinese medicine. How old is Chinese medicine?
Thousands of years.
Thousands of years.
A couple thousand years old. They've been doing it since the beginning on the kings and the soldiers, and I'm not sure how it all came about and how they learned it, but it's an amazing medicine that
Yeah, it really is. I actually had pulled up some information. We did this event, Temple of Divine Movement, a few weeks ago, and I pulled up this grid of the meridians, which is it's a fraction of what you work with as an acupuncturist. There's all these different energy pathways that only someone who's studied acupuncture is going to be able to recognize. But for someone like me who studies Chinese medicine for fun, because I love it, there's 12 major meridians, right? And
yes.
running up and down the body, connecting different organs. What about how the organs are connected to emotions? I feel like that could be really relative to people.
Well, we do have 12 main meridians. There's a yin and yang pair, so we follow the five elements. And so we have metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. And each of those elements do have two organ systems, a yin and a yang organ system that's with that element. And then each element also has an emotion that it affects and can play. And we say that anger affects the liver. Worry is the spleen. Grief is the lungs. Fear is the kidneys. And like overjoy and overexcitement is the heart.
Wow. That's good stuff. So think about maybe, a lot of people who may be suffering from some of those emotions. And, you always want to use the most minimal, less invasive medicine whenever you can. So if you're having some issues with anger, doesn't mean you necessarily go and get counseling. If you're having some issues with fear doesn't necessarily mean that your kidneys are fucked up. But on an energetic level, there's a lot of things that we can do to address these things. I am a spleen person, which I will share. And I don't really think of myself as an over worrying type of person, but I'm super over analytical. And Shannon tells me, Francesca, overthinking constricts chi. What are you doing? Like, relax a bit. And so, you can address things with your mind. You can be aware of your emotional system and what's lighting up for you so that you can actually address it, because a lot of times the body sends us signals in the form of emotions that are not necessarily a bad thing unless you refuse to look at it and you refuse to listen. So, rather than waiting till things get to a level where, your body's so messed up for years and years of just not paying attention to it, for years and years of, not examining your emotional system, you could get into some of the diet stuff. I actually read a book called Your Face Never Lies, and it's like a really mini Chinese medicine kind of thing. And one of the things I thought was really interesting is that if you eat seasonally, a lot of the foods that are in season are the best foods to strengthen you during certain like times of how would you call that when it's liver season right now?
Yeah, it's liver
Right.
season right now.
How do you describe that? It's the cycle of this stuff.
So, like I said, we have the five elements, and each element is ruled during a specific time or specific season. So we just entered to the spring, which is the wood element, which is the spring, which is the liver and gallbladder.
Mm.
Like I said, the emotion of the liver is anger.
Is that why I've been so
Fresh-
pissed off lately?
Yes, you'll see it on the highways. Everybody's like livery, flipping each other off.
Yeah.
A lot of irritability going on, a little shortness.
So mean.
And it's anywhere from just frustration, irritability to full out rage, depending on how much heat or fire is involved. And, alcohol, it creates liver fire. And, alcoholics are rage. They have red eyes because the liver flourishes through the eyes and they get red and heat. And the liver can affect women in premenstrual syndrome and all the issues that we have to go through as a woman every single month, and how important the liver plays in that role. I mean, it's the liver is the season's intense, right
Yeah.
now. The wind is the element, so it's super windy out now, and the wind agitates us and makes us irritable.
Oh yeah, I've sworn at the wind before.
It makes me so I have a strong aversion to wind.
Like, if this wind blows on me one more time, I'm gonna lose my fucking shit. It was a tough day, but I mean, imagine like if the United States started to incorporate more of this wisdom, instead of letting things get so fucking bad all the time and explode, or instead of letting our health, completely suffer, we could just do little stuff like eat for the season, see an acupuncturist 4 times a year, minimum. Yeah, if you're, I mean, yeah, there was a time I think I was seeing you when I was in my band. I was seeing you at least every 3 weeks, maybe even more often, because like I was jammed up.
Yeah.
If you have intensity, a lot of us can relate to having a stressful job, having stressful situations in our life. And someone like Shannon, who's an amazing acupuncturist, can come in and help tune up all your systems. So you still have to go through, what you're going through. But imagine like if you have a car and you're driving your car like crazy all the time and you're just pushing it to the max because you have to. It's just your purpose. You got, what you got on your plate. But you're doing your pit stops, just like NASCAR. You stop, you change the fluids, you check the tires, you check in, and then you fucking take off. So that's definitely been a lot of my life since I've lived in LA, going hard. And then this woman, bless her heart, has been saving me.
Well, our bodies, I always like to use the analogy of that we are a little vehicle and we need to put gas in it. And we need to put good food in our car, so it runs the best. And we have to make sure that we get the spark plugs changed and everything taken care of in our car. But our car has lights that come on and tells us to put the gas on. And if we don't put gas in our car, it just stops in the middle of the highway. But as humans, we've learned to override those check engine lights. And we go, go, go. And people aren't feeding themselves. They're not taking naps. They're not resting. They just have so many demands. We live
spark plugs are all jammed up.
We live in LA, and we're overstimulated here. We have just driving on the highways every day. I know that I drive from a client's house to my house every Thursday, and by the time I get home, I am like so full of annoyance and rage, and I'm just like, oh, this is constraining your liver chi. Be nice, and I try to be peaceful about it, but it still plays a toll on when we drive by these homeless people every day, and our hearts are just, overly compassionate, and we see it growing and people being hungry and just the disparity. It's hard on us, and it's hard to witness. And so all these little stressors constantly have an effect on our bodies, and we internalize them. And so our chi, when we're stressed, gets constrained and gets bound up. And the job of the liver is to move and to soothe and to course our chi throughout our entire body. And when we get irritable or frustrated, we get constrained, or we get stressed, it gets constrained. We drink too much, it gets constrained. So if it's not moving, it gets stuck in our body.
Yeah.
And it just gets bound up in our ribs. So we get ribside pain, tightness. We get all tight and angst, and then it starts to affect our bully and affects our spleen and stomach, and we get digestive issues. Or it insults our lungs, and we get lung issues. The liver, if it's not moving and coursing throughout our body, it just gets stuck. And then it gets stuck, and then our blood gets stuck. It doesn't move our blood, and then that causes a whole plethora of problems. Right. So it's just, and sadness affects the lungs, and when we're too sad and we get shortness of breath and we don't have any energy, they all plays an effect on our body, and a lot of times we just override that. And I really am a component of self-care, self-love, taking care of yourself, soothing your liver chi. I mean, how many times have you told me? Have I told you to soothe your liver chi and that
Right.
you got constrained liver chi? I mean,
Yeah.
the spleen has a big effect because we over worry and we overthink and we deplete our spleen chi. And our spleen is about, it's our earth, it's our stomach, and that's our digestion and how we take life in. And then if it's weak, we don't digest our food and we don't assimilate the foods in our body.
Yeah.
And so each body, they're all have a relationship with each other, each organ system and each part of our body. So it's so complex, and that we just think, oh, it's just this, but it really is showing up in so many ways in our life, in our body.
Yeah, absolutely. So I hope for everyone who's listening, if you get anything out of this episode, I hope you can see that there's a lot of things that you can do that are practical, that are inexpensive, that have such long term lasting results, and a way to address your life, your health, your needs, as a person, your physical body needs on this polluted doggy dog kind of world that we have a lot of times. And, not to diminish Western medicine at all, but this is something that you can do on a regular basis, whether or not it's just, incorporating certain foods. So it's liver season. Cleansing, I actually started juicing in the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
So that's been good. Trying to cut back on the alcohol. What else do you recommend right now?
So we just moved from winter time, which is a lot of time of introspection, going within, hoarding, and hibernating. So we ate heavy foods. Some people gained some extra weight. So now we're in springtime, which is a time of renewal. It's time that all those seeds that we planted in the autumn are going to come to fruition. There's a lot of new energy. So eating lighter is better at this time. A lot of dark leafy greens. The liver likes the color green, so greens, chlorophyll, your chlorellas, dandelion greens are really good. Milk thistle. So,
Oh, yeah.
and then like sweet potatoes and beets, and squash, steaming them and like quick cooks rather than slow long cooks.
Yeah. Oh, good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's as far as food, but like just exercise, getting out moving, getting our chi moving by, even if it's a brisk walk or 20 minutes of a little bit aerobic, getting your yoga on and de-stressing your body, getting out in nature. It's a great time to get out and move.
Amen. Will I screw you up if I ask you to talk about some of the other seasons just so people can kind of get a gauge, maybe
Well,
like briefly?
Yeah. So the fall is lung season. And the lungs, you see how many people do you see with bronchitis out in the lung
Right.
season? People get back from Burning Man. They're all like congested and their lungs are weak and they get the dust. And
If you
I
go to
tre-
Burning Man,
I
consult
treat
with
so
Shannon.
many people after Burning Man for lung issues. I mean, you know me.
Yeah.
I just even a few weeks ago, I was out dancing. People were smoking cigarettes. I'm super sensitive to cigarette smoke. And then all of a sudden, I'm in this like asthmatic cough for a few weeks.
Yeah.
And that was really intense, but there's like herbs that I did. There's formulas that you can take because you were talking about, oh, do you have to take antibiotics? Not necessarily. There's a lot of remedies for that.
Yeah.
In the winter is the kidney season, which is the water element. So kidney, urinary bladder. A lot of people have bone pain, back pain, teeth issues.
Oh my God, I had the worst teeth issues.
And it's always fascinates me that the seasons change and the conditions change every season. And I'm still in kind of disbelief, even at 11 years in practice, that it just shifts. We just went to the liver, so a lot of people, it governs the tendons and ligaments. So people are a lot of bursitis and sciatica and joint issues and tendonitis are showing up.
Wow.
A lot of people with eye issues because the livers flourish in the through the eyes. So a lot of people with tearing eyes and red eyes and so many eye issues, blurry vision.
Wow. So after this season, what do we go into? What's the element?
So the summer starts to go into the heart and small intestine and then the spleen and stomach. It's split up. So fire and earth, some early summer and late summer.
Gotcha.
And then the lung and large intestine, and then kidney, urinary bladder.
Gotcha. So earlier you mentioned the yin and yang, and notice how she said yang and not yang,
I
because
know.
it's not yang. I've even had conversations with Chinese Americans about that, and they went back and asked their parents, and it's yang. It's not yang.
I've only known it as yang, but I do remember hearing it as yin and yang. And then I was like, but when I listen to my teachers and how they pronounce it, I follow them.
You can say yang if you want, especially if you're afraid that no one will understand what you're talking about.
No,
If you
it's
say
wherever we
yang.
come from. There's so many different accents, and I'm just amazed how many people can speak English with their accents. So, we all have our own ways of being able to pronounce words,
Right.
So I'm a little bit more lenient towards it.
Oh, you're nicer than me. But so let's talk about yin and yang for a minute, because, a lot of people, they pronounce it with the hard A and the yang, but the more important misunderstanding is that people think that yin and yang means good and evil. They're like, yeah, so one has a little good and a lot of evil, and one has a lot of evil.
It's
and a little
duality.
good.
It is the
Yeah.
duality, and we can only know one thing by not knowing the opposite. So it's just complete opposites. Polarity.
Interdependent forces.
We've got yin and yang, and so like children are yang and elderly are yin. Daytime is yang, night is yin. Cold is yang, hot is yin.
Wait,
So
you switch that. Cold is yin.
cold is hot, heat. Sorry, I'm thinking deficiency. Sorry.
I was testing you.
Yes. Kidney. So yang is heat and yin is
Yeah.
cold. But I was just thinking of deficiencies because we
Yeah,
mostly
yeah.
deal with them in deficiencies.
Oh,
so it's the opposite.
Isn't that so funny?
Yeah. So
That's so funny how you
my
how
little
treating
dyslexia-
the one treats the other.
Yes.
Wow.
So it's opposites. So if the yin is the structure, then the yang is the function or the action. Yin is the fluids and the substance and the nourishment. Yang is the action and the function.
Yeah.
So-
That's some complex business. So what about like masculine and feminine? Because that's kind of more so how I understand. So yang is the masculine. It's the fire. It's the cauldron. It's like,
Heat.
yeah, it's that.
Action. And
Yeah, it wants to explode, but the yin is what's going to pull it out. It's the feminine. It's going to cool it out. It's going to spread it. It's going to,
nourish it.
yeah, nourish it,
substance.
expand it. It's receptive, whereas yang is assertive. So those things come up, I think, because we all have a little bit of both. We all have,
Oh, yes.
our masculine sides, our feminine sides. Some of us need to work on being more receptive. Some of us need to work on being more assertive, no matter what your gender is or not. How does that fit into the practice? Does it ever come up other than just treating the opposites, like you were just saying, like nourishing deficiency?
It does. Well, you have your chi and blood, your yin and your yang, your hot, your cold, your interior, exterior. And these are ways that we look at when we're diagnosing the patient. It's very individualized. So when I ask you the 10 questions, I ask you some really personal questions about your bowel movements and your digestion and your temperature and your sweat and your periods and all sorts of things. I get really personal with you. But the answers that you give me actually lead me to a pattern. And that pattern can be, in your instance, you said you were spleen.
Yeah.
So you were spleen chi deficiency with maybe a little liver chi constrained with a little bit of blood deficiency. And so you have that as your diagnosis. But as we age, a lot of people were in a yin or yang deficiency. So women will go into like a yin deficiency as they're aging, and they go through menopause and they're losing their blood and their hair thins and their skin gets thinner. That's a yin deficiency. We're running out of our substance and our fluids and our body nourishing us. So yin and yang, it's a diagnosis, it's a pattern as well. Yang deficiency can be low back pain and low energy and cold and really, so as we create those patterns, then the points and the treatment principle is directed to your individual pattern. Whereas in Western medicine, they might have one disease and one pill, or 10 diseases and one pill. We have one disease in 10 different patterns.
Wow.
So we're not just treating the same herbs for every single patient. Like I had a friend that texted me and she said, "Oh, my girlfriend's mom needs a formula for this." And I think she had fibromyalgia. And I was like, "Well, she wants the same formula you gave me for her nasal stuff." I'm like, no. You know, like
Yeah.
it's very individualized for the person and what they need to do. That's why it's important to actually make sure you're consulting someone when you check into these Chinese herbs, because they do have, if it's not the right pattern, it could exacerbate a problem or weaken a person or not be what they need.
That is wild.
It's like,
You
for
just
instance,
blew my mind with that.
so it's so complicated.
Yeah.
And there's still so much I'm learning, so much I don't know, and so many different translations of it all as well. You might have 10 different acupuncturists, and they're going to treat you 10 different ways because it's their own interpretation, it's their own creation at the same time, and intention behind it.
Is there some herbs that you're using now, or that are some of your favorite herbs to bring out?
Well, like I said, mentioned dandelion is really good for the liver. I like chrysanthemum flower. It's the number one. It's really good for the liver. It is the number one eye herb, so it's really good. Brightens the eyes and it's good for eyes and a lot of eye issues that are going on right
Is that
now.
why your eyes are so
It
bright?
soothes the liver chi.
They're like sparkly.
That's the water.
Oh,
I'm just joking.
she does have magic water too.
But yes, I think the flowers. I love chlorophyll. I love goji berries. Those are really good for the liver and liver blood. I'm a liver blood deficiency person, so
okay.
I'm always nourishing my blood. And so chlorophyll is one of the number one blood nourishing herbs out there. Chrysanthemum flower, goji berries. I'll make a goji berry milk with a little cup of water in my blender with some goji berries, a slice of ginger, and down that. Super yummy and nourishing.
Sounds so good.
Black sesames is good for the liver.
Wow.
Liver blood. And then greens, using green things to nourish the liver. There's a really good formula I like for liver qi constrained people. It's Xiaosan, and it helps nourish the liver, move the liver qi, but also strengthen the spleen and harmonize the liver and the stomach and spleen.
My goodness. What about moxa?
I love moxa.
Yeah. You want to talk about that? Actually, so one of my classmates in the comedy series I've been taking, she goes to, I think, is it Olympic Spa? Have you
Olympic
been
Spa
there?
has
And
the
she-
tub you
yeah.
soak in. Yeah.
Yeah, she said that she was soaking in a
Yeah.
tea bath of moxa. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh shit.
It's called mugwort.
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 Yeah.
It's also Aya in Pinyin. It's a very warming herb. It has the ability to invigorate the blood and move the blood. And in Chinese medicine, where there is pain, there is stagnation. And where there's stagnation, there is pain. So we have the principle of moving the blood and moving the qi to treat pain. And so moxa, I have a stick. I've burnt it on you quite a bit.
Last time you
Smells
moxed my
really
feet.
strong, and because it was wintertime and I was warming the yang and the kidney points and the yin, your yin
Yeah.
meridians, because a lot of time that cold penetrates the feet and the
Yeah.
ankles, and the spleen and stomach like to be warm. The kidneys like to be warm. The kidney Mingmen fire is stored there in the kidneys, and so we like to warm that fire. And so moxa, I'll use it for people that have arthritis, because in Chinese medicine, arthritis is a bee. It's either a cold bee, a damp bee, a hot bee, and usually combined with a wind. So it's in LA and San Diego and these coastal cities, it's a cold, damp bee. And so moxa helps to warm the meridians and disperse the cold, as well as release the exterior cold attack that's attacking from the outside, attacking the body. So moxa will warm that and disperse the cold and help alleviate the pain.
Wow.
So I treat a lot of people with that. What else do I use it for? A lot of pain when people, after they have surgeries and they're healing. A lot of knee pain I use it for. Low back pain. Women and moving the blood for their menses. The cold in the uterus and blood stagnation, you burn it over the pelvis area and it warms it up and helps alleviate pain and get the blood moving.
Wow. I've heard of it for dreams too. I think
Probably
my
like
cousin
making a
was
tea
taking,
or smoking
yeah,
it.
I think she was smoking
Smoking
it.
it. Yeah, I haven't.
Smoking some mugwort.
Yeah, I don't know about it. I smoked. that's how I first got into herbs, actually. And Chinese, one of the reasons I got into Chinese medicine and herbs was I had a friend right out of high school that would put mullein and lobelia into
Mm.
his blunts.
Oh,
And
dang.
we were like, oh, well, we're nourishing and strengthening our lungs as we smoke. So then I went to,
I've smoked mullein before,
yeah,
right?
it's really good for the lungs. It's one
Yeah.
of the it's great herb for lungs and asthma and helping the lungs. And so that's how then I moved to college. And the town I lived in was Greeley, Colorado, and they had Montfort meat packaging plant and they burned blood. And so there was a lot of bacteria in the air, and I developed asthmatic bronchitis out of nowhere.
Oh,
This hacking cough that was just terrible. And so I would make mullein tea and lobelia tea and colt's foot and comfrey, and they had me on inhalers and steroids and, I mean, antibiotics for weeks and weeks and weeks, and nothing was helping. And then I started drinking herbs and tea, and I had this yellow mug that my friend Zoe got me and decorated. It was this big mug, and I was drinking a bunch of tea. And then when I went to college, people would be sick and I would make them teas to help them feel better, and they would knock on my dorm room and I want them to drink the teas. So
wow.
that got me really fascinated with just the herbs, and I guess that's what witches were.
Yeah,
Witches were
exactly.
little. They took the herbs, they took the leaves and the flowers and the twigs, and they put them in the cauldron and they stirred them up, and it was a magical healing potion that made people feel better.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then people were threatened by their knowledge, and they're like, oh, witches.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
but all they
church
were,
didn't give you permission to make that
yeah,
potion,
they were healers, you know,
right?
and they knew how to use earth. And this my mama gave us everything we need. Like there's roots and trees and barks and animals, and there's so many things out there that are here for us to heal. And it's right here. Mama Earth is just providing for us if we just pay attention and listen to her and look outside right now. It's blooming. I mean, we're in
Yeah.
LA and there's so many fruit trees
Oh
blooming.
my
Well,
God, it's
that's the fruit
gorgeous,
what we need to be eating.
right?
That's I mean, when the loquats are blooming, we need the loquats for the lungs, and when the dandelions are growing, like
Yeah.
she's giving us our
The
medicine.
pears
The
in the
pears during
fall
lung
for the
season for the
lungs.
lungs,
Yeah.
nurse the number one lung herb is nursing the lung yin for coughing is pears, and they're in season in the fall.
What do you know?
So
Thanks,
if
Mother Earth. That
yeah,
was so smart.
she is so smart, so amazing.
This is just so like even though I've been into this stuff for a while, my mind is still expanding. It's just so cool to think about the different dimensions of being. It's not just your head, your mind, and your physical body. Like there's so many different dimensions of health. Spiritual health, emotional, mental, the physical,
Hmm.
but to take a more holistic approach to encouraging. Maybe you're just getting older, your body's a little run down, you've had a really great life, you just need to rejuve. Maybe you're a busy professional, or you're an exhausted parent, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? There's so many practical things that you can do that are more appropriate than just looking for a pill. And I think a lot of times maybe people might dismiss Eastern medicine, acupuncture, and whatnot because they just want something easy. They don't want to address the signals that their body might be sending them. They don't want to change their mindset. They don't want to take responsibility for their emotions, or maybe they're just so wired up and they're caught up into this pattern that is destructive, but they don't want to change. And so we look for that magic solution, that magic pill that's like, oh, I just want to take my pill, and you know what I mean? But uh, I don't think that life made us, that way, where all you have to do is like just snap your fingers and you don't have to change, and you can just do whatever you want and, have everything that you want. You know what I mean? There's a lot of contradictions there, and it's important to open up, be aware, listen to your body, check in, and to get some type of rhythm. Life is tough enough right now, but to try to get some type of rhythm with the seasons, rhythm with whatever, your lifestyle, whatever lifestyle is working for you right now, but to find your pattern.
I think it's really important to just nurture the self, to take care of yourself. This body is all we have, and we think we're invincible, but like a lot of people are afraid of dying. I'm not necessarily afraid of dying. I'm afraid of being sick in an unable body, and or being alive in a body that's not able to do. And
Mm.
I've witnessed it. I witnessed my mom not being well. I witnessed my older clients not being well. And so if we don't stop and take care of our body and this vehicle for our souls that they can evolve and grow in, the vehicle is going to give out. And then we have if we don't take care of our cars, it doesn't work. If we don't put time and money into our cars, they do not run for us. And we know when we put off little bitty tune-ups, then all of a sudden we go to the mechanic and they're like, oh, you owe $1,000 because this is wrong with it. And you're like,
Right.
oh, but we pay it. We do it because we need that car to get around,
Right.
and we do it. But we often neglect our bodies. And that
Yeah.
our bodies, I believe, are the most important thing to take care of our health so that we can live a long life. We can do more good in the world. We can do more that we're passionate about. We can enjoy life more because our bodies feel better. And people didn't hurt themselves overnight. It was a lot of time of neglect and abuse. And so one magic pill doesn't work. And people are seeing that they are being failed by Western medicine because the doctors are overworked, and when they learn a special thing, and they know how to reference medicine and they know how to, but they don't know how to really listen to the patient or to know what's really going on. And I've seen a lot of that neglect,
Yeah.
especially in our elderly, and especially in the people when they have good insurance, and the doctors just put them through a system, but they're not really listening to them. And people just want to be heard. People just need to be touched. People just need to give their body good nourishing food, because your body will respond when you let go of the foods that are not good for you, these processed sugars and all this processed food. People will feel better when you eliminate that stuff and crowd it out with yummier, healthier, nourishing foods. And they take care of their bodies and put the right fuel in it. Their body will respond when they get a little bit of exercise and go out and take care of themselves and get out in nature or go for a walk or do yoga or boxing class or whatever it is that people like to do. Just find that. I like to dance. I mean, I go dance in front of the speaker, and I dance 5.5 miles in 3 hours, or I just get down, or I'm at my house and I dance, because really the gym is where your body is. And whatever you like to do. So move and take care of yourself. I really think that people should be getting acupuncture once a month if they can. I try to keep my rates pretty low so people can do that, because we go get our hair done, we get our nails done, we do so much out there of their bodies to make them look good. But yet then we're like, oh, I don't need to take care. I don't need body work. I don't need to get my,
Yeah, your hair looks good, but your chi's looking really low right now. Are you
And
okay?
yeah. So I just
Like a blinking candle about to go out. Ugh.
I see it a lot, and I just want to, inspire people to take care of themselves and to take care of their bodies and acknowledge them. Pay attention. How does my body feel after I eat that? How do I feel after I do this? And just start paying attention to their bodies, because there's signals going off and check engine lights going off, and our body is magnificent. And the relationship between body, mind, spirit, and the emotions, and I'm feeling this way. Well, what's that effect on my body? We can pay attention and listen. There's a lot of messages there.
Yeah. I meant to say this earlier, but I don't think there's ever a good time to constrict chi. Is stagnant chi ever good? Like in anything in life? Like, think about the areas in your house and your job and your relationships.
Stale water you walk by, and what it
Yeah.
smells like when it's
Stale water.
when you walk by a little collected water that's been
Yeah.
sitting there, and how awful that smells.
Right, a crowded corner vortex. That's what I call them in certain houses where you can. Well, my house is like a total mess right now, but I call them these clutter vortexes, where it's just all this stagnant shit just sitting there taking up space, and it just starts to kind of pull together, and it seems like stuff just wants to get lost. It just wants to kind of fall into this chaotic cycle. But can you think of any time where someone would not want their chi to be flowing properly?
No. I just, in Chinese medicine, like I said, is where there is pain, there is stagnation. And where there's stagnation, there's pain. So in any area of the body, it's like, let's get it moving. Let's be free flowing. Let's not live in pain. Like,
Right.
I mean, when we constrain our emotions and get that, they're going to want to express themselves. They're going to come out in some way or another. So let's have a healthy way of experiencing our emotions. Sad times do come up. It doesn't mean don't be sad. Don't experience that sadness, but don't allow it to consume you at the same time. Feel your angers and frustrations because it's important, but don't allow it to consume you in full outrage, and allow it be in check,
Yeah.
And then, I think just when you're feeling good and feeling happy, you're able to do more with yourself and with your community and with the world. And it's just in this creation time of renewal, in the springtime, we should ride that energy and just move and be free.
Totally. Yeah, you honor life when you allow, the light to flow through source, or you just kind of connect to this impetus of life to create and expand and evolve and grow, whether or not you're just painting a picture, with your kid, or you're expressing yourself in other ways. It's important to recognize that flow of life into this world. I don't think that we were meant to just come to Earth and just consume and destroy and just burn out. There's greater spiritual purposes here, and like Shannon said, take care of yourself, and you can get around a lot more easily, and you'll enjoy the ride in the process. So, how did you get into this stuff? My goodness.
Like I kind of mentioned that my first experiences with herbs and the teas really intrigued me. And then unfortunately, I was in a car accident when I was 19, and that kind of left me in a lot of pain, headaches. My ribs kept dislocating. It made me feel like I was having a heart attack. I was constant back pain, and I just kind of thought that, oh, great, that's my story. And then I moved to San Jose for a random year, did a year exchange at San Jose State, and my insurance company authorized acupuncture. And so I started getting some treatments. No, my first experience was actually in Colorado, and it was this little hippie lady working out of her home in Durango. And she had to talk me into getting the treatment because I refused. I was like, no, I just want my massages, just massage. I don't want anybody sticking me with needles. And then finally she's like, please just let me, on the last massage, she's like, let me just try it. And I allowed her to. She put like 5 needles in before I even knew she had 1 in. I had anticipated such a different fear of what acupuncture was, and I left there like skipping across the railroad track, just so high and feeling good. Couldn't believe I didn't have a headache for the first time in so long. It was so remarkable to feel such a difference after just 1 treatment for myself. And I had she put me on a good formula. The floaters in my vision went away that nobody could explain. What are these floaters in my vision? Yeah. And when she had asked me that question, I was like, what? How'd you know I have floaters? You know what they're called? And she gave me an herb and they went away, a formula. And I was like, so excited. So she make a little impression in my heart. Then I moved to San Jose and I got some acupuncture there. And I realized I could study this. I didn't know there was schools that I could go to. And I was a nursing major. And I always liked to take care of people. I always wanted to help heal people and make them feel better. So I was like, well, I'm going to just change my major. And when I went back to Colorado to graduate, and I studied communications because I knew I was going to move to California and study Chinese medicine.
That's so cool. That's one of my regrets in life, is that I did not study Chinese medicine. God, I wish I would have. So I'm sorry. What school did you go to?
I went to Pacific College of Oriental Medicine in San Diego.
In San Diego. And how was it? Would you recommend it?
We got a great education, a strong foundation of Chinese medicine. I did a post-grad study in China for 3 weeks. It was pretty intensive studies after. And when I went there, they kept saying, you have a strong foundation of Chinese medicine. You have a strong foundation of Chinese, because a lot of it was review, a lot of it was observing, a lot of it was, but they just gave us confirmation that the education we received here was a good education.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How many acupuncturists do you know around the country? I know you know Laura. Laura is in San Diego.
She's great.
She's amazing.
Mm-hmm. If you're in San Diego, she has urban acupuncture.
Oh, she's changed my life.
Yeah.
And then she actually introduced me to Shannon, when I moved to LA, and the rest is history.
Hmm.
I would never see another acupuncturist
I've
like
got some
ever.
great friends across the United States that are great
Yeah.
acupuncturists with great training. They're great hearts and great healers. Got my
Yeah.
friend Josh up in Seattle. Brianna's in North Carolina. A few friends still in San Diego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people can maybe reach out to if they're in another city and they want to know about a good quality acupuncturist. I mean, I'll say especially since I've done a spectrum, I've done the students. Probably if people went to your school in San Diego,
Hmm.
I'd go to one of the churches in downtown San Diego because
I might
I
have
was
treated
super
you.
broke.
Yeah.
It wasn't you, but I'd go to this church and I'd
Yeah.
get, I don't know if it was
I
like
did
free
I
or
did my
like $10.
internship there. It was actually for the homeless.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
the
that was there.
yeah, it was actually for low income,
Well,
and
yeah.
not just the homeless, but we had a
Mm-hmm.
lot of low income. We had some homeless. We would give them the NADA protocol, which is National Acupuncture Detox Association for the
Mm.
year. Helped so many different people. It was a great
Yeah.
experience. Uh,
Yeah. And everyone did really well. I
we were
mean,
great. We got good
yeah.
training, and it was a great way to get. If you can't afford a regular treatment, the schools do offer discounted treatments because you're being treated by an intern. But that
Yeah.
intern is eager to learn and has such heart. Most of them,
Yeah.
uh, are there because they want to learn and make a difference.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I've done community acupuncture. And again, that's kind of more so something I think if you can't afford a regular session with someone who's going to get to know your patterns. I didn't even know you were doing all that stuff. Getting to know my patterns, you're just treating it. But, and I want to kind of roll into how you do some things differently. But a lot of times people want to know with acupuncture, not only does it work, but do the needles hurt?
Well,
You
there's
do beat me up
I
sometimes,
do. I
but I
mean,
would
there's a
say no,
sensation.
the needles do not
They
hurt
do not hurt. The
unless you've
thing
given
is,
permission, Shannon, to punish you.
right? I try to be gentle with people. There is a sensation, and a lot of people, it's a new sensation. So people
Mm-hmm.
say, "Ooh, new sensation, pain," and they
Mm-hmm.
automatically label it pain.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Sometimes you just react like,
You just react. It's a sensation. So usually initial little prick, but 2.2 seconds. It's like so minuscule. But then there's the arrival of chi, and it's the chi coming to that point.
yeah,
And that can be a heavy pull or a little warm sensation or a little itch or a stronger sensation.
yeah,
But that usually lasts momentarily and then it's gone and then you're relaxed. And somehow in that moment, people fall asleep or they go into this like blissed out state with these needles in them. So initially, though, some of them can be an intense, heavy pull, like when I do the fasciculations and get the muscle to jump and you're like, whoo, what was that? And
yeah,
it's a strong sensation. That's da chi, the big chi.
yeah,
So it's, I don't think it hurt. I think it feels good. I think the sensation of healing and that yeah, I'm feeling something, but I know it's working and I know it's doing something good for my body and my body's not going to be leaving in the same pain because I've been in some serious pain and acupuncture is the only thing that's treated me. And I've gotten to experience pain because it's made me a better healer. I know pain. I can feel it. I'm an empath. So someone will show up and I'll have had neck pain for 3 days and they'll describe to the T my neck pain. I'm like, oh, you're the pain I was feeling. I will think of somebody and I'll say, oh, what's going on? And I know what pain they're feeling. And they're like, how did you know? How did you know to go there? How did you know your feet? And I was like, well, I felt it before. I've traced it in my own body. I've treated it in my own body. I've stuck thousands of needles in myself, learning the body and how to heal it.
yeah,
And so that makes me unique in that and that I care. I want to make people feel better.
yeah.
So it just
Yeah, you always give everything that you got, and so she was kind of describing, or when I was describing, I let Shannon beat me up a little bit. I've been getting acupuncture for so long. I've had it so many times, and Shannon's the type of person, she wants to give you everything that she can. She's respectful of your time, your energy, your money. She's going to give you all she can in a session. So she'll actually tap my needles and like kind of, do you like twist them sometimes
I'll
too,
come
or
back
like,
and stimulate them a little bit.
yeah,
But mostly
so
once they're in, I let them stay. But sometimes
yeah,
right before I leave, I'll give them a little extra
She likes to zing
stimulation.
me. I like her to zing me too. I'm like,
You like it strong, and
yeah,
if I don't get that strong sensation
I'm
on you, you're like, hey,
hardcore.
Shannon,
I'm
there was
like,
3 needles back, and I want
didn't
more
feel a
on that
zap. Yeah, I
one.
don't know if
So
it's pulling, but in the past when I had acupuncture from just like a lot of acupuncturists, I feel like the needle goes right into the point because what people don't realize is that these needles are going into pressure points, if you will,
yeah, they're
right?
acupuncture points,
Yeah,
and there's
like a depression
yeah,
or a divot.
there's grooves usually. There's an
Yeah,
actual if you trace the meridians, your finger falls almost right into the point. Um, in the crevice in the body, along the eyebrow, in the wrist. Those are all points.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a natural, like the needle goes in there well. There's
Hmm.
that crevice,
It's
that groove, it goes in, and typically you just kind of feel the pull of the chi. I would say that it's never hurt unless you were doing an area where it's really jacked up. Like a lot of us might have digestion issues at one point in our lives or a lot of our lives. I think there's an area right by the toe, and my feet are always freezing.
mhm.
Also, if it's like the large intestine and my digestion's not
Liver
good,
points have a
liver
strong
points, yeah.
sensation.
But it's not typical. Like if you have a real problem area, just get the
Well,
needle in there. I
and the
mean,
thing is, we hear the word needle and we think Western needle.
yeah,
We're thinking a needle that has a hole in it. Acupuncture
yeah,
needles do not have a hole in it. We're thinking a needle that is injecting something into us. We don't inject anything. We're not pulling anything out. And Western needles are aiming for a vein or a nerve. So that makes the needles hurt. We
right.
are going into point with a specific function that wants to be needled almost like. And
It's
so
saying
yeah,
poke me,
it is. And it's like, heal me. I'm
stimulate.
here for you. Just stimulate me. But,
Yeah,
it's a new sensation. But a lot of people have that apprehension. We hear needle. We think of the time the dentist shot us in the mouth and it hurt so bad, or we had to give blood and we've almost passed out, or
yeah,
when we had to get the tetanus shot, those hurt, you
yeah,
know? And so a lot of people have apprehension towards needles,
yeah.
but that apprehension actually creates our body to go into fight or flight and be on defense. And then it hurts more and satisfies our story that it's painful. And then it's like, oh yeah, that hurt. But if we
Right,
just breathe and relax and allow it, then our body doesn't really hurt as much.
right. So, what do you think of acupressure? Is that just for wimps? Not to be
I
a
mean,
bitch about it.
I get some relief when I massage points when I'm in a lot of pain, like I could be on the dance floor and dancing and my back would start acting up and I can push on points. I get relief in that moment, but the deep healing medicine I think is in the needles. I've never sat there with my hand stimulated on a point for 10 minutes though.
Ah,
Maybe an acupressurist might do that. You know,
yeah.
but I use the needles because they work and they
They
feel
work
good. I mean,
efficient.
children, like if someone's really, really deficient, if someone is in hospice, if someone is, acupressure is going to be very good for that person because they're a deficient person. And
Mm,
you can still stimulate those points and give them relief. You can
yeah,
stimulate the points on your hand for a headache. A lot of
that's
times they're
right.
digestion, LI4, and you can get relief.
Right.
Some people have anxiety and you can push some points and
Mm,
get relief in that. If you have morning sickness or seasickness, there's a point on your wrist, and they have those little magnets that they sell at the store that they say put on. It's a wristband and it's a little bead, and they say put it on your wrist at this point. Well, that's pericardium 6, and one of the functions is to descend rebellious stomach chi and to help nausea and calm the stomach.
dude,
So they're actually using an acupuncture point with that thing that they're selling,
brilliant.
right? So yes, acupressure does work. But I treat a lot of chronic pains. I treat a lot of people with shoulder and neck issues. I mean, a lot of people come to me when it's too late and they're in 911 and they're like, oh, I can't move my neck, my back, and they're on set. And someone says,
Hmm.
oh, you should call Shannon. She's got you.
Oh
She'll make you
yeah,
feel better. That's how most of the people find me. But
yeah.
I don't want people to wait till they're at that point to take care of themselves and to listen
Right.
to their body, because that takes 10 days at the minimum to heal. And the body's on defense and they're fearful of the needles because
Right.
they're in their body's in defense and they're in so much pain. So I'd rather someone come when they're more feeling better, to be preventative, to get the body to not go into those flare-ups
Right.
and those spasms.
And when you use the needles, you have the efficiency of that, and then you can do everything else that you also do. So
Yeah.
you do aromatherapy, you do the massage before and after. I remember telling one of my chiropractors about you, and I'm like, yeah, she even massages the points after she takes the needles out. And they're like, what? She does? That's so great. And you're not a lot of acupuncturists do that,
No.
unfortunately.
No, they
And
don't.
they move this chi, they awaken it, and like some of the residual stuff, it's there, and you get that ache, like it worked,
Yeah.
you feel better. But Shannon goes in there, she's like, I'm gonna move this along. She's very thorough, this one.
Yeah. I had cut my hand open with a box cutter when what got me into acupuncture school actually in a faster
Wow.
pace. And I received acupuncture treatments, and I'd go and he would put 15 needles around my hand and then pull it out. And then my hand would feel like it weighed 5, 10 extra pounds, and it was just heavy and this chi. And I said, I will always massage someone after I needle them because that feeling of just that heaviness. But I feel like we all need to be touched more as well. And so that's a way. And I give a really good massage, and
Yeah, she
um,
does.
most people want more of it. But I love the medicine of, or the magic of the needles.
Mm.
But I just think we all are touch deprived as well, and everybody just needs to be touched more, and everybody just needs to be nurtured. So I still incorporate the massage because I know when I get needled, I want to be touched, and my favorite thing is to be massaged. So,
Mm.
but I do the aromatherapy. I do cupping. I love to
Mm.
use the cups. Most people get cups with me or gua sha. You
Oh,
know,
love it.
I love gua sha, which is it's also called spooning or coining, and you use a instrument to scrape on the top of the skin, and it pulls what's stuck to the surface. A lot of times when you get cupping, you see people with the little cupping marks, and that's called sha. It's the
Mm.
stuck chi and stuck blood. All that is, it's not bruises. It's just what's stagnant, the stagnant heat, stagnant blood, and it pulls it to the surface so that the lymphatic system can drain it. And gua sha is a similar technique that pulls that sha up to stuck energy so that the lymphatic system and the blood circulation can move it, getting that pain away. Because
Yeah.
once we move that stagnation, the pain goes away.
Yeah.
And what else do I do? Moxa. I do the moxibustion therapy.
Hmm. What about your face rejuve?
Oh,
Let's talk about that. So I've been seeing all over the internet and stuff, and I've been using a jade roller for years.
mm-hmm.
I think Laura probably got me into it back in the day. And they're just really nice. Jade's popular in
Mm-hmm.
Chinese medicine, I guess, or just the
Yeah, it's
culture or whatever.
yeah, cooling and
Japanese.
anti-aging,
Ooh,
and I think longevity. They have a
good
lot of rituals with
stuff.
jade.
So I see people on the internet rolling their face, and they probably just like it because it's jade and it's
Uh,
a stone. But you do this magical stuff to the face with your facial rejuve. You use the gua sha tool, you use the rollers. Do you want to describe that? Because there's definitely people who would love. And so I was singing for years and years. I'd have hours and hours of singing and band practice and shows and all this stuff. Plus, I am a salesperson, and my jaw would get super locked up. I'm probably the type of person that holds tension in my jaw, like a lot of people, and like my shit would be fucked up. Like it would be so difficult. And Shannon would come along, and she'd be putting all these needles in my jaw. She'd put in my third eye. She'd be working all these muscles you didn't even know that you had. But you also do it kind of like a facial
yeah,
as
facial
well.
rejuvenation, they
Yeah,
call it,
tell us
or
about it.
acupuncture facelift.
Oh
Um,
my god.
right? I mean, yeah, it's hard growing older, you know, seeing the face changes in your face and wanting to be as beautiful and vibrant and youthful as long as you possibly can. I don't know. We live in LA, so tend
Oh,
to be a
it's
little bit
tough
more,
sometimes.
a little bit more vain here, and you want to be natural. You don't want to
Yeah.
have to stick, you know, needles in your face. Or I just want people to be able to age gracefully and accept ourselves and feel beautiful at
Yeah.
any age. You know,
Yeah, wrinkles
and
can be cute. Just
yeah,
get the chi flowing.
right,
Let
exactly,
the
and just
chi
get
flow
the
through your wrinkles and
right,
you'll
and they get the
sparkle and no one
color
will
change.
know.
So acupuncture, there's a lot of points in the face. They work with the muscles. They stimulate the muscles. For strengthening them, helps with collagen, rebuilding collagen, helps reduce fine lines, gets the color and evens out the color in the face, brightens the eyes. So it just enlivens the face. And
Mm.
then you're doing distal points on the body that help to whatever the pattern is. If someone has excess
Mm.
damp, you drain the damp. LA4 is a command point for the face. So there's a lot of energizing points that help with the body's constitution as well as, and
Yeah.
enlivening the face and helping people. You just
Right.
feel good, right? After the
Yeah.
needles are in the face, and
'Cause
then I like to do
yeah.
the jade, the gua sha helps to pull out like excess, get the lymphatic system draining. Helps also just stimulate the face and collagen, so that always feels good. And the massage.
Yeah. So good. So good. So let's talk about some of my other disasters that you've helped me with. The cupping has been really, really helpful for bronchitis kind of stuff.
Yeah, when you catch a cold,
Yeah.
it's good for what we call a cold, or the flu is an exterior attack. It's a invasion from the exterior, and usually a wind, and it hits the back of the neck. We call it Taiyang attack. And then the Taiyang, it will either be a wind heat or wind cold. So if it's a wind cold, it's usually going to attack the eyes. You're going to have a white, clear phlegm in the nose. You might have, and more heat would be a sore throat, and then the chest, you get your phlegm. So cupping helps to release the exterior and to pull that pathogen out of your body, and that helps to get the phlegm and to loosen the phlegm from the lungs, and helps clear that heat, and then allows the body to have more blood flow and strengthens the immune system.
Yeah. There's been a number of different times I've come to see you and I was a total wreck. But one of the most dramatic times, I think it was a year and a half ago, and it's when I think it's one of the muscles in the rotator cuff. I was on an airplane, and my right shoulder is a little kind of janky anyway because I was a pole vaulter, kind of have some scar tissue. I think there it doesn't have quite the flexibility has been weird because I overextended it so many times. But I'm on an airplane and I'm pulling my arm up and my elbow, and somehow I like locked it in place. Do you remember when I came to you and I couldn't even lift my arm? Like, this was the most miserable thing. I didn't know what was going on, but imagine you had, just that perfect injury where you could be on an airplane, pull your arm back, and like really jack these muscles. And so I'm like, Shannon, save me. Like, I
You came
can't
straight from
move
the
my
airport, didn't you?
I don't even know. Like, I'm trying to even look back, but I
Yeah.
just remember, fuck, like you worked on me. You did a lot more massage that time. So this is how powerful Shannon's sessions are. It was very specific to this. This is not anything she did for me. Other times I'd come to her like a train wreck or for maintenance. But she starts kind of getting into these muscles. And what the rotator cuff, I think you told me there's 4 muscles there.
4 muscles.
There's 4 muscles. So like she's massaging up in my armpit. She's like, I didn't even know where these muscles. I don't know where the muscle attaches to the bone. I know I have an armpit. I got a shoulder. Like I can usually have a moderate range of motion, and she's like digging up in my armpit. She's like just working away. It's like she was rolling dough, but it was my jacked up shoulder. I couldn't even lift my arm, and within, by the time I left her house, which was less than 2 hours, it was like it had never happened. I had a little bit of soreness, but I had full 100% range of motion, which was just incredible. I mean, it was so dramatic to me. And there's been other times, where there's situations that only acupuncture would work. And I see doctors. I'm not afraid to see a doctor if it seems more Western medicine appropriate. Chiropractors, massage therapists. I do a variety of stuff, but there's a lot of things that acupuncture is the best thing for or the only thing for.
And the people are starting to realize that more, especially with pain. Their medicines, the different medicines are failing them and making them only sick. And they don't want the side effects anymore. They're spending a lot of money on them, and they're realizing that acupuncture can give them a lot of the relief. I think someone posted or shared it with me. I have to still read it, but they were saying that OxyContin was taken off of the FDA, and acupuncture was added for pain. Like it was a big thing that
the recommendation
for recommendations. They're trying to get out that and adding it as a viable treatment for.
Well,
then acupuncture's now been added, and recognized.
Look who finally caught on!
Wow,
the FDA! Congratulations!
It's starting
to get it.
And it just is. sad that people feel that their doctors, and there are doctors that care, but there's just so many conditions that the pills are just overly diagnosed or prescribed.
Right.
And then that has a side effect that they just go to the next one. And then that one has a side effect, so they give you another one.
Yeah.
And you're taking 7 to 10 pills all of a sudden. And we're young and vibrant now, but I'm starting to witness it a lot more happening with my friends. I mean, as we're getting over 40, a lot more of my friends are being prescribed these medicines that I see there's so many other solutions for, especially when we look at, I mean, acupuncture is a phenomenal medicine. It's been tested over time and time and time and time again as with results for thousands of years. And things that don't work, they fade away, Yeah. And acupuncture's been around, and there's so many testimonies of it. So, yeah, I would try it before I would go get my toe removed or pins put in my toe, or because that pain, where there's pain, there's stagnation. Where there's stagnation, there's pain. So we get the chi moving throughout the body that pain will go away. Does one treatment always necessarily work? Yeah, I've had those treatments where people call me Dr. Jesus because I've had a miracle that they had a pain for 7 years and their elbow pain after one treatment was gone, and I'm like, no, it's just stuck chi, but there are those people that it works with one treatment, and there are some people that they need a few more treatments, but one Tylenol never worked or one aspirin never really worked. It takes more than just one try of something to know if it really works for you. And then at the very minimum, you're de-stressed. At the very minimum,
right?
You had a 90-minute session of just nurturing yourself and feeling good, but what could the body may really respond with more than you can imagine. So for me, I think people should give it a try before they
do anything
do
dramatic.
Extremes. Yeah.
I was gonna say, because I was, I worked in pain for a pharmaceutical company, and we got the opportunity to be certified through the AAPM, which is a pain organization, and we had to go through these different workshops and listen to these doctors. And one of these doctors, who's a pain doctor, he gets on and he's like, acupuncture works. I don't know why. I don't know how, but I know it works. And so he was encouraging, these pain doctors, because now, it's so after so many years of disaster, with pain and just abuse and stuff like that. And unfortunately, there are people who are like struggling to function in the day that need pain pills. But, people are finally starting to realize, the importance of holistic medicine and not just giving a pill for something. Another thing that I think is interesting, and pharmaceutical companies have the budgets oftentimes to get enough clinicals to get something on the market. And a lot of doctors, I mean, this is how they're trained, this is, how they're trying to stay grounded, is that they want to see all the science. They want to see the clinicals. They want to see all the results over and over and over again. But, I repped a drug that had I think it was 10% better than placebo, which was considered significantly a significant improvement. And I'm like, really? You can be 10% stronger than placebo, and that's considered significant? And they're like, oh yeah, that's huge, because it's so hard to get past placebo because our minds are so powerful. So you get enough of these studies showing this tiny little blip over placebo, and everyone's like, fuck yeah, get it to market, And I mean, that's the industry. But
and it treats that, maybe that 10% more increase in treating pain, but causes constipation and
right.
Or
you
I mean, that's just the one
properly.
You can't function, or you're just so drowsy that you can't drive.
Right.
You have no energy. You're depressed because it causes depression.
It's addictive.
It's addictive, and then you're opioid.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
there's a lot of things.
So,
or even antibiotics, because I mean, sometimes I have to take antibiotics. I avoid it. Haven't taken them in years, but is there any side effects with acupuncture?
No.
I don't know of any.
There's none, unless somebody causes a pneumothorax by puncturing the lung, which is very, very rare because we're all trained to know the needle depth and the angle.
So just make sure your acupuncturist is licensed,
yes,
right?
Licensed. Well, I mean, not to put it out there, but there's dry needle eaters out there. It's this new thing that physical therapists and chiropractors are able to dry needle, and they take a certain amount of hour course and learn just how to go where there's
What?
pain, there's a point.
In
And
California?
I think across.
Because California, I thought you need 4 years
No,
minimum.
no, they're the
Eh,
dry needlers. Acupuncture. There's some.
What?
It's called dry needling, which is different than acupuncture. But they're using acupuncture needles to a point where it's like an osher point where there's pain. There's a point. So they're
Uh-huh.
going to those trigger points that they may learn that jump. And they're trying to get that jump where they might be just going to where there's pain and needling just that point. But they don't have the thousands of hours of training and
Right.
learning the theory behind it and the points and the why we use certain points and what angles we use or what needle depth, so
Yeah.
so there's been some incidences I've heard with some dry needling of
But these weren't
they were
acupuncturists.
acupuncturists.
Okay, so
And it's
make sure
very
you
rare.
see a
It's
licensed
acupuncturist.
acupuncturist.
We're strong. I mean, our training is so much more entailed and way more hours.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
is wild.
But
So
I've never had there might be hematoma. You might get a little bruise from a point. I guess that's a side effect. Um, because there's so many capillaries underneath the skin and
yeah.
it's easy to hit a capillary, especially on the face but bruises go within a few days. Um,
Yeah.
but I've never had in my years.
I've had tons of acupuncture and I've never had any side effects.
Hmm.
Yeah, and
Maybe
I like
getting a
them.
little blissed out afterwards and being lazy
Yeah.
and not wanting to like just
Too
relax.
blissed to
You're too
drive.
blissed, and I'm always like,
That's
oh, when
yeah.
I put people on the road afterwards, I'm
Yeah.
like, drive safe.
That's like
Left
the
turns
same thing
only.
with yeah,
No left
meditation
turns.
class. You leave yoga and you're like in
Hmm.
another world.
Right.
So yeah, immunity stuff. It's I mean, acupuncture works wonders
Hmm.
for the immune
Immune
system,
system, yes.
respiratory stuff, digestion
Stuff.
stuff.
Women's health issues or premenstrual syndrome,
Yeah.
but all this.
Let's
So
talk
many
about
friends.
that. Let's talk about women's
I have
health
so
because
many
this is
friends that
Domination
are.
University.
Yeah, I have so many friends that are consumed with their periods and they're in pain and they have breast tenderness and they have these bad periods, and I'm just couldn't even fathom that every single month to go through that pain and acupuncture. And then I remember watching the doctors and the gynecologist on that show one time. She was like, "Oh, that's just normal. It's okay. Take some Midol." And I was like, "No, it's not normal and it's not okay. And taking a pill is not every month is not sustainable on the liver and the body." But so acupuncture helps to soothe the chi. I've talked about liver chi constrained, and
Mm-hmm.
when the liver chi is constrained, it gets stuck. Well, if chi's not moving, it's not moving the blood, and then the blood doesn't move, and so that can be like clots in the blood or painful periods, cramps,
Mm-hmm.
and low energy digestive issues. And so you soothe the liver chi, you nourish the blood, and you get it moving, and
Then it just comes and it's
it just
easy.
comes and it's easy. And it's like, oh,
Yeah,
what? I
it's
didn't
just
have, I mean,
something
you
I
might have a
do.
little irritability, but the more acupuncture herbs you take, it just comes and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that was no big deal. I've had friends that I force them to take herbs and get treatments. I'm like, come on, why are you just dealing with this? And they're always amazed. I'm like, you're going to have the best period ever.
Yeah.
And, they do, it's
Yeah.
like, it's amazing. And I just am amazed at how many people suffer from, PMS.
Yeah.
You know.
What are your other big ones other than injuries? Because that's obvious. If
Yeah,
you have an
injuries.
injury,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
A lot of digestive issues. I've treated people with Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. I've worked on, constipation and digestive issues. I've worked with a lot of people with depression and anxiety. It's very effective for that with some herbs. And during these times, the winter was really hard. I had a lot of clients that were coming into me with as their chief complaint with
Wow.
anxiety and depression. And it's just a sign of the times, what people are experiencing out there in the world and what's going on with the collective. So it's sad to witness this winter, but people are starting, they get the treatments, their liver chi soothed, everything's harmonized, and they start feeling better. More positive, happier, less anxiety. What else do I treat? I have a lot of bronchitis. People come in with the nasal sinusitis, sciatica, a lot of sciatic pain.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. What other changes would you like to see in United States modern medicine?
Just more of an integration, people being more aware, looking at the effects of diet on their diseases and their issues, and sugar, um, and how bad sugar is for our bodies and for inflammation. You hear people talking about inflammation all the time, however it expresses in the body, and how food really affects that. And people taking a little bit more responsibility for what they're putting in their body and the toxins that they're exposing themselves to. And like I've had known a lot of people that go to the doctor and they've had cancer and they've gone through the chemo and they've done that, and the doctors never mentioned the diet and what they could be doing to support their body through the chemo.
Right.
That they could do acupuncture to help with the nausea and some of the side effects that chemo has on the body, and to boost their immune system, So I'd like to see an integration more. I'd like to see just the relationship between mind and body, the emotions being more acknowledged out there,
Yeah.
and how it has effect, rather than just prescribing something and saying, okay, we'll see you in a little bit and test these levels and see if your body's has adverse effects.
Yeah. I remembered another thing that acupuncture is good for that a lot of people aren't going to think of. Fertility.
Yes,
As well as
fertility.
you've worked with people before
Yeah.
getting IVF. And I just remembered it because I had a client, and he was a first responder. His wife was a nurse, and they spent a lot of money on IVF. And 3 times was a charm, but on the third time, they had an acupuncturist treat the woman after the implantation, and that was the one that actually kept
Yeah.
it. She was able to, and have a great, healthy daughter.
Yeah,
Talk about that.
I've helped people all along the pregnancy, from trying to get pregnant and during fertility, getting their body harmonized. It's about de-stressing the body, getting the blood flow, and getting the uterus. It's a little incubator for, we're getting the body ready and prepared to carry a child and to sustain it, like hold it up. So I've helped through that process. I've helped at the day of the IVF holding.
Yeah.
I've helped induce labor and treated women throughout their whole pregnancy. But it's more for there's a lot of positive results, high effective rate with acupuncture and fertility. Because a lot of times our bodies are just stressed, they're malnourished. We work, and like, oh, okay, now I want a baby. And the body's
just, I'm willing to take a break now, body.
Right. And the body's like, oh wait, but we've neglecting it. We're not nourishing it. So we move that liver chi, we get the blood going, build the blood, and then the body's in a better place to conceive and to hold the baby for that 9 months. What else?
Awesome.
Yeah. Just all that liver chi. It's just all comes down to pattern.
We have all that chi.
It's our pattern, though. It's like there's so many diseases with different patterns, and it may express in different ways. But it's about moving that liver chi and moving the blood, and nourishing it, because wherever it's stagnant, there's gonna be disease or disharmony in that body.
Wow.
So moving the chi, strengthening chi. Sometimes the chi is in excess, so we got to sedate the chi.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. So, what else do you want to share with us? I mean, if you're not in Los Angeles and you can't see Shannon, I feel bad for you. Reach out to her if you're not sure about a local acupuncturist. If you want a recommendation, you also do some stuff with magic water.
Oh, yes.
Do you want to talk about that? Because people could
Sure.
reach out to you for a number of different reasons.
Our body is 90% water. Our planet is 80% water. We are water. Our life exists as water. Our brain's 90% water. Our kidneys are 80-some% water. Our blood's 80-something% water. So I really believe that water is essential for optimal health. And a lot of the water that people are drinking is actually dead water, or is water
Gross.
It is gross. So people just don't know. People just don't know how important and how different the waters, tap waters, bottled waters, actually how they contribute to the disease. And we look at oxidative stress and our ability to create oxidation or fight oxidation. And oxidative stress is when the apple starts to rust. When you cut it open, it turns brown, or the avocado, or when a nail rusts, that is oxidative stress. And water that's tapped or bottled actually has a positive number in creating oxidative stress. So Kangen water that I'm into is rich in molecular hydrogen, which is a selective antioxidant. And we hear antioxidants, blueberries, strawberries, green teas. These are high, they tell us to eat them in plethora to fight oxidative stress. Well, Kangen water is a natural antioxidant, is through water. It's by charging the water and creating this molecular hydrogen-rich water that we all need to be drinking 8 glasses of water a day, or I say half your body weight in ounces. But if we're not absorbing that water, we're not actually getting the water that we need. And so, Kangen water is fabulous for proper hydration, proper detoxification, allowing the body to be fully hydrated so that it can work optimally.
Yeah, there's a huge difference maker.
It-
I have
oh
to.
yeah,
I mean, it's just huge. Like you can tell.
yeah. I'm a certified water dork. I'm so passionate about it. I can go on it. You've heard me. I can go on and on and on and on about it. But so I think water is super important in creating, health, along with the acupuncture, along with proper diet, along with exercise, along with, self-care. There's so many daily activities of self-care that we can do to support our health and to help fight disease. I love coconut oil pulling to help with the teeth and to strengthen to fight cavities and help with gingivitis and inflammation, detoxifies the organ system. So there's little tricks. Body brushing helps to get the lymphatic system going and moving and help with the skin. Qigong and Qigong is energy medicine, and it helps the bodies and strengthens the body. So there's just so many things that we can do to help acknowledge the body. I mean, I would really say, stop drinking the sugar and the sodas and detox and get rid of those stuff that we know that aren't serving our body, and just crowd them out and put some more nourishing, yummy, good foods in our system.
Wow.
And just self-care.
We had to call this episode spring cleaning.
Right? It is that time.
Spring cleaning for everything. So how do people find you if they want to, find out more about the Kangen water? They can actually buy the units from you. Also, maybe they want to get a session. Now, if you heard Shannon on Domination University and you refer that to her, she's going to give you a 20% off your first session, which do it if you can. If you live in LA, treat yourself.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I'd love to work on you,
to another
help
world.
support you feel your best. I am really bad with technology, to be honest.
Me too.
Reverend Beckwith said it one time years ago. He said, we live in a high-tech, low-touch world. And so I resonated with that, but I'm a high-touch girl, high-touch, low-tech girl in a high-tech, low-touch world. So I'm trying to maneuver that as we move into this high-tech world. But I have a Facebook page for
I can link
Awake.
this too, yeah.
Yes, Awaken Acupuncture, and essentiallywater.com. Awaken Acupuncture on Facebook. They can call me, like good old-fashioned call me. It's Awaken Acupuncture, Shannon Finnesy.
I'll put all your links in there in the news
link it.
feed and on the website so people can find out more. But man, like this is good stuff. I think we even may have surpassed Chi 101 a little bit. Started getting into peeking at Chi 202.
Right. I know
Maybe
it's
we can
hard
get you back on.
to explain thousands of years of medicine in 45 minutes, and what took me so long to comprehend that it's not linear. And I have a linear mind, and it's circular, and everything affects everything, and it creates another and has an impact on the other. And it took me so long to learn it, and I'm still trying to comprehend it. So to break it down in an organized fashion in 45 minutes or an hour is pretty challenging.
Yeah. Well, I thought you did a great job. Thank you
You.
so much for coming
Thanks for
on.
inviting me onto the show and getting me out of my little recluse shell.
Your little healing cave.
Right. Thank you.
Oh, you're the best. Thank you so much, Shannon.
You're welcome.